It's Wednesday night. You know what that means. It means you're locked and loaded to the Wrestling Inc. podcast with three of your favorite, most realest personalities on this pod. Coming to you from three different countries, but all with one beautiful, wonderful mindset, and that is to entertain and chat about pro wrestling. First up in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, he was a former WWE referee for more than 20 years. He'd been all the way to the big dance, WrestleMania. He's driven Andre around. He's been done like this from the boss, Vince McMahon. He is the one, the only. He swerves when he drives. Jimmy Korderas.
Hey, how are you? And yeah, what an intro, man. I got to live up to this billing. My goodness.
You already live up to the billing. Your resume speaks for itself. Your book speaks for itself. Order the book, 3 count if you haven't done so already. Where do people buy that, Jimmy? How do
you can find it. You go online. It's easy. It's called The 3 Count: My Life in Stripes as a WWE Referee, and it's easy to find. Use that Google machine, that crazy little technological advantage. Let's put it that way.
I got it through Apple Books for whoever
there you go.
Just likes to get them on your devices.
There you go. Google the thing. It's a wonderful book. I read it many years ago. Read it I took it on vacation, record time. So check that book out. Also joining us here in our trio down in beautiful Puerto Rico. She does not have a book, but one day she will. And boy, I can only imagine what's going to be in that book. She is our resident demon diva, Isa. Good evening, dear. How are you?
I'm doing well, LaBar. How are you boys doing?
Good. I'm good.
I always call you my Wednesday night boys. You guys are my boys. I hope you know that.
Oh,
that's all. It's all good here. Wednesday night. We back on this Wednesday night last week. Of course, we did Wednesday during the day because of the shakeup of the Dynamite schedule. So it feels good to be back where we belong, and that is Wednesday night, nightcapping it, shutting it down with all of you guys who are up live with us. If you're not live with us, that's okay too. We appreciate you watching us whenever it fits for your schedule, or if you're doing the podcast audio only thing, that works too. 2/3 of the screen here, not always the best to look at, or so we've been told. Anyways, we're going to get into AEW Dynamite in a few moments, but first, big shout out to everybody in the chat room who's been, it's kind of like a watch along party. They sit in the chat while Dynamite's going on, or they're in the chat with Isa's live watch along over at her channel, and then they join us here once we're on the air recording. So appreciate all of you. Again, if you haven't done it, please like, subscribe, comment, tell a friend, do all those things. We really would appreciate it. Let's jump into some news before we get to Dynamite. And this is one of the bigger stories that Wrestling Inc. had in the past day. Of course, Tony Khan's been very loud as of late on Twitter and this and that. And one of the things he was loud about is how WWE, his competitors, have made things personal with him. And he goes back to this time last year when his mother was battling illness. And at that same time, he says that he was dealing with contract tampering from WWE, allegedly dealing with contract tampering, I should say. And Sean Ross Sapp doing wonderful things always over at Fightful Select. He's reported 2 of the names that he's confirming that were reached out to by WWE, supposedly, and that were part of this. Allegedly, yes, thank you. Allegedly. One of those names was Swerve Strickland, and this was believed to be allegedly that they're being reached out to, maybe come back over. Is this a situation to come back over, hit row reunion? Is that possible? So Swerve Strickland being one of them, and the other being William Regal, who, of course, we now know did, in fact, negotiate his departure from AEW and is back with the Stanford-based company, working as we believe to be as an NXT coach, but it's thought that he can't appear on TV for a certain amount of time. That was part of the deal to get him out of his AEW obligations. So, Jimmy, you having been under a contract once upon a time for WWE. When I say contract tampering, that's nothing new in the pro wrestling business, though, is it?
Absolutely not. I mean, this has been going on since pretty much. I don't want to say day one, but at least, when you want to sign somebody from a different territory back before we had the big explosion, somebody always reached out from that promotion to this person or a friend or someone, a colleague, and said, hey, get so-and-so to get in touch with me because I have an offer for him. I want to bring him in. I want to bring this person in. That's happened way back then. And then when the big split happened and WWE started giving people guaranteed contracts, they're still independent contractors. They don't work technically for the company. The company is hiring their services. So it's kind of a little different. I'm not saying that they didn't reach out and maybe say, hey, can we talk and maybe get into something here? But at the same time, it's not the same as being a unionized employee for a company where, you know, you can't reach out to someone that's in the actor union or whatever the case may be, or whatever Unifor or the auto manufacturers or whoever it may be. This is a different kind of business. Companies reach out to other talents and try to do it as discreetly as possible, but eventually it gets out. It's happened since day one.
Yeah, I mean, Isa, we've heard a lot of stories in Hall of Famers' careers telling, you know, like the Undertaker comes to mind because since he's been so candid in interviews in the last couple of years coming out of character. He talks about, you know, famously being in WCW as Mean Mark and them saying nobody's ever going to pay to see you wrestle, and so then he, you know, this phone call to that person, or this intermediate, and he finds himself getting a call from Vince, and the rest is history. So I mean, it is like, I mean, I guess I can understand if I'm Tony Khan, like, or I can understand if I'm any promoter, you want your contract, you want that piece of paper to be worth something, but at the same time, by what Jimmy just said of the nature of how these guys are designated, and just by the fact that it's an incestuous business, how are you ever going to stop a middleman from just happening to pass on a word saying, hey, I happen to talk to somebody over in that company, and you might want to, you know, listen to them if they ever approach you.
We're going to ignore the fact that Edge's contract was up on Friday and he was there Saturday and filming a video package for the pay-per-views. He talked to him. They made that happen in 2 hours. You had to be talking to him before the contract was up, right? That's all I have to say.
Edge has been trying to cover for that. He has been saying that it all came together very fast.
Sure. Sure.
Wait, are you suggesting that somebody named Jay Russo might have tampered and reached out to Adam Copeland?
No, really? No, my goodness. It's the Canadian exchange rate. It happened a lot quicker than it would have in the United States. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so it's an interesting story. It's especially interesting that, you know, again, Sean Rossap reporting names, and I believe Sean in his reporting, and obviously the William Regal thing proved to be something there. But you know, I again don't think. Well, I just don't ever see pro wrestling promoters getting all the way actually in front of a judge in court, you know, standing in front of this. I think this is a lot of just slinging mud on either side of the fence on social media when you get the chance to. So
yeah, it's not like the first time. Let's put it that way. It probably won't be the last.
Yes.
Correct.
2 words: Lex Luger.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure Sting was the intermediate there. Back on that one, we'll talk about the Stinger here in a little bit. All right, let's jump into AEW Dynamite. Appreciate a few of the super chats I've seen. We'll bring them up when that time of the show comes. And again, the chat room being lively. Appreciate it. All right, AEW Dynamite, Houston, Texas, or just outside of Houston, Texas.
Don't worry, Houston. You and I both.
L0 versus Jay White. Notable little moment in the middle of this match. They decided to do a little chop challenge. Who could get the spiciest, loudest, stingest not really word. We'll go spiciest and loudest chops on each other. Penta even removes his part of his ring gear to expose his bare chest. So thought that was a little interesting, something that we don't see in every AEW match nonetheless. And then we get a distraction. Of course, the numbers game with the Bullet Club Gold out there, and that's going to lead to Jay White hitting his finish and getting the victory. Isa, the outcome is pretty predictable, especially when Jay White is on the path to MJF. But what did you make of the match, and just what did it do for Jay White, good, bad, or otherwise, for you as he is on the road to an MJF title match?
I might be jumping ahead, but pretty much everything in this show felt predictable in ring-wise. Didn't take away from the action, you know, like the wrestling was great, but a lot of these matches felt very predictable into the show tonight. This feud is not hitting for me. I don't know what it is. I don't know what's going on, because back when Jay White was a free agent, I would tell you Jay White MJF is probably one of those crazy fantasy matches that we were all booking, you know, when the possibility of Jay White coming to AEW was on the table. There's just something about it that's just not doing it for me, and I think they'll deliver in the ring. I think it delivered, but tonight, seeing Jay White in the opening match against Penta, it just felt like a match that was just there. It doesn't feel like this guy is your number one contender for the world championship. There was other people that are coming after MJF that felt like a bigger deal than the feud that he actually got going on right now.
Well, I agree with you to that, and I think, Jimmy, I wonder if you agree. I think part of it is because Jay White, since being AEW, never mind what he did in New Japan or anywhere else, that doesn't matter. What matters is what's in AEW. And I feel like at his time in AEW, there hasn't been the time given to make him feel like he's a real big world title threat. I think that they probably call this audible because of Adam Cole. I think that Adam Cole being there to be by the side of by MJF when MJF beat Samoa Joe. There was probably a different plan of where we're going into November with MJF, and audible's been called, and so we've had to force Jay White a little bit further up the card than maybe any of us are ready for.
That I absolutely agree with that, and yes, probably did have something to do with it, the injury to Adam Cole. But at the same time, you have to build up someone to be there. You can't just inject them just like that, saying, "Hey, this guy's a big deal." You have to give us a reason why he's a big deal. Show us, make us get invested in him before, even though he's the heel. I'm assuming he's the heel because, it almost felt like, we'll talk about it, but MJF sort of getting back to his old self at the same time, because when he was with Adam Cole, it felt like he was more, babyface-ish, for lack of a better term. But yeah, getting back to Jay White, he was just thrust upon us. That's what it felt like.
It doesn't help that they've had half or maybe more than half of his time in AEW being in a show that is not watched by the majority of your audience that watches on Wednesday. They did a terrible job today at following up with stories that went on Rampage, Collision, or even your show last week. Then the ratings show you lost about half of your audience because you were on a Tuesday. There was a lot of things that came out of nowhere that if you weren't paying attention or watched the other shows, you had no idea what was going on. And we'll get into that as we get into the show. But Jay White has been mostly featured in Collision. He was having banger matches over there, but the audience is not watching that right now.
Yeah. I mean, it does feel like Jay he is just there to fill time until they obviously might have more plans for MJF, as we'll talk about later on, as we saw some other people again coming into the fold. So it does feel like we're just kind of stalling some time.
Sorry, no, not to interrupt. Just one quick thing I wanted to point out at the beginning of this match. We had a jump start, and there's a reason why I mentioned that. It'll come up again.
All right, very good. Sega Genesis, who's super chat heavy tonight, $10. If your name isn't Gunther, you should be banned from Chops. I swear, we got the same face-off chop fest spot in 4 matches tonight, buried in a graveyard right next to the super kick.
I questioned that, and I even said it to the people that were with me on my watch along. I was like, "Oh my God, Gunther is shook right now." Like, when you have Gunther hitting the kind of chops that he hits on Monday Night Raw, it's just, I just wouldn't even try it. I wouldn't try it if I am not at the caliber, size, and level that Gunther is.
And to do it in several matches too.
Well, and I was glad that Penta at least had at least took his upper body gear off, because a chop's never going to sound as good if you're not hitting somebody's bare skin. If you're hitting fabric, it's not. There's just, I don't care. I don't care how hard you're hitting them. It's just not going to.
Those chops are even worse if you got a little bit of a hairy chest. Let me put it that way. Yeah.
Hey, let me ask this, because it was mentioned. So after the fact, Jay White and crew cuts a promo in the ring, and they. I forget what they call them. I should have wrote it down. But they make reference to, I think it's just Goon Squad is what they say. And they're making reference to when Jay White was attacked weeks ago, when it was first made apparent that he was coming for MJF. And if we remember, it was the devil masked man.
Never followed up with that.
Yeah. We have not seen, and like it's okay if they haven't attacked anybody, but shouldn't we at least have a security camera seeing them lurking around a building? Shouldn't we be seeing something rather than just I feel like that was the huge angle that was a cliffhanging that I think we all praise. Hey, we ended Dynamite on this huge cliffhanger. And we haven't even seen them since. I mean, there's been a little mention. We haven't even seen them. How? Why?
Exactly, because out of sight, out of mind. And you're giving everybody so much more, until you mention it there. I was like, even myself, we're going, oh yeah, that's right. Whatever happened to those guys?
Yeah, same.
And look, I understand that we might get to, Full Gear, and the week prior, we might see them resurface and they attack somebody or whatever. And everybody's light bulbs will go off just like Jimmy's just did. Which, okay, but I would think, wouldn't you want to keep the audience kind of guessing and keeping it front of mind? But again, even if you're just showing little black and white footage of them lurking around, or they just, who is it? And then maybe I'm going to tune in next week, because maybe next week we'll get a clue of who it is. They're not even using that as an attraction.
Even a little thing, you don't have to actually use them where you do a backstage segment or a backstage promo or something's going on, and they kind of show up in the background, and you go, oh, wait, what are those guys are lurking around back there? I wonder what's going on. It makes people think, that's all.
Clay Forward with a chat saying, wait, so masked guys have been off TV, so have Cole and the Kingdom. Coincidence? All right. Well, that Clay Ford, if that gets to be revealed, then it makes sense because obviously they're hammering home with Dynamites at the Kingdom and all them aren't there. They're at Roddy's house.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, we'll table that as an option for creative.
That's a great point. Actually, didn't even think about that.
Look, if that's it, that'll make some sense. That would then fill in the blanks of why they haven't been used in these past few weeks. So, all right, want to bring that up?
So they just need to smell the mask and see if they smell like peanut butter and jelly.
Yeah, it's now but if it's not that, then as Beer Money says exactly, Justin, been saying it for weeks. That one story had to be intrigued, and Tony can't build stories. Well, so we'll see. Hopefully he knows. Hopefully he knows who the reveal is going to be, if there is ever a reveal.
He doesn't.
We'll see. We will see. All right, so we go backstage, and MJF is now backstage with Renee. He says he's not going to be dumb like every babyface in wrestling history. He's not going to run out there in a 4-on-1 situation. He says that he's smarter than that. That's why nobody's on the level of the devil. He also then is approached by the Acclaimed, again, Max Caster, pushing hard to provide their services to be able to have a 4-on-4 matchup against the Bullet Club Gold, and he wants nothing to do with Max's tomfoolery, and neither does Bowens or Billy Gunn. They're still not sure why Max is so obsessed to help the other Max. And Caster says because he's my scumbag. So little bromance there from longtime friends, as it would be. So we'll get more MJF in a bit. So we'll table the MJF talk until we circle back. All right, we get a women's match at this time. Isa, did this shake you?
I was shook. I was shook. You know it. I almost tweeted you guys and be like, "What is happening?"
Yeah, I jumped up from my chaise lounge and grabbed the clock, and I was like, did I just fall asleep for a minute?
And they got time. They gave this match time as well. It was just a match that made no sense, but now I'm nitpicking.
Well, so hang on there. So it's a women's match. It's Hikaru Shida, who is once again now the first ever 3-time AEW Women's Champion. We kind of debated about that already in the past. Why did they take the title off Saraya so quickly? But that's a past discussion in a past podcast. Go check it out. So we got Shida versus Emi Sakura, and I like that they gave a 30-second video before this, and they just briefly but succinctly outlined and educated me, but reminded some fans that Emi is Shida's trainer and former protege. So there's a long time student teacher kind of history here. I might have known that. I might have heard that somewhere in the past, but it wasn't, again, front of mind. So it was a nice reminder. It immediately gave me context, immediately gave me a little bit extra reason to kind of pay attention. So again, good on that. Do more of that whenever you can. It goes a long way. They have a match here, and they got some time. Jimmy, as the ref, I got to ask you that. My one nitpick, though, while the match was what it was, my one nitpick I had in the match was I felt like both ladies had a hard time kicking out in the near falls. There were so many covers that I could tell, okay, this is not the finish.
Right.
But, the referee clearly stopped, so they didn't, or so I think it was Aubrey, so she didn't hit 3, but, they barely got their shoulders off the mat. I was like, what is going on here? Why are we struggling to kick out here? Maybe it's a nitpick thing. Maybe nobody else saw it. I don't know. But overall, thoughts on this match, the video package, and the general context. Shida, of course, retains the title.
Like you said, from the video package to the match, I thought the ladies worked hard. I thought they told a hell of a story. They both sold very well. Hey, what a shocker. In AEW, somebody's actually selling. But as far as what you said about the false finishes and that sort of stuff, I did notice that they were a little bit sketchy at times. And the thing that referees, and I had to learn too, is you're going to have some really close calls, and you can't have a tell or a giveaway that you are actually stopping your count ahead of time because you know what the finish is supposed to be. It's supposed to look natural. There have been times I learned afterwards where their false finishes have come so close that I've actually hit the mat for 3, but waved it off. Said, no, I just couldn't stop my momentum. They got their shoulder up. That was a 2 or something like that. But one of the problems I'm seeing across the board with a lot of referees now, not just in AEW, is they having tells.
Yeah.
When it comes to false finishes, and unfortunately there were a lot of them in this match, and it took me, being a former striped shirt myself, it took a little bit away from me.
And I'm not going to have Jimmy reveal what any of those are to not because that'll damage all of you as viewers. But Jimmy, just to clarify, so because I know what you mean, and I think Isa knows, but to clarify for somebody who's listening right now, when you say a tell, you're meaning as the ref goes to apply the count, they do or don't do something that is indicative that, okay, this either is the finish or this is absolutely not the finish.
It's something they do different. It could be very minute and very slight, but it's for me, it's a tell that tells me this is not going to be the finish because they don't count it the way they count the finish.
Yeah. Isa, again, this women's match here. Give me the thoughts here on this early women's match of the night.
Yeah, look, I love that they got on TV early. I love that they gave the match some time. And they worked. The women worked. I wasn't a big fan of that stupid spot that they did rolling around. I just don't like it. We were just talking about the shopping spot. I'm gonna be fair here and also tell you that I don't like when they do that. I just want. It feels like it's been a long time since we've seen the AEW Women's World Championship be in a significant feud, long-term feud. Like, it just hasn't happened in so long. Thought it was going to happen with Saraya and the Outcast, but they took the belt off of her immediately. And the last Shida title reign, it was a transition. She had it for what, like 2 weeks? So I just think that Shida should be put in a storyline. I love the video package, but we've seen these girls wrestle so many times that you're giving us a video package to remind us of something that we kind of knew because we have seen them go at it so much. But I was very happy with seeing the women be featured so early on and being given time, and they worked. I'm a big fan of Shida. Shida has really grown on me throughout her time in AEW, and I just want to see her be like, have something to really sink her teeth into as world champion.
You use the word grown. I will say that was kind of my sentiment too that I had written down. She has grown on me. I don't know if it's for the right reasons, but I can tell you she's grown on me just because she just keeps coming back up. Again, she's the first 3 times. So it's like, I was like, all right, I can't ignore her. And they did sell in this match as one of you said.
That's the only way that she can grow in you, because like I say, they never put her in like that significant feud that you go, oh my God, remember Shida and this person's feud. You know what I mean? So the only way that she can grow in you is like by keep winning these titles this way or this or that, because there's not a story that I can go back and say that's what made her. It's just been like a slow growth.
Yeah, I mean, I do agree. The women's division does need some oomph. And again, not to, we went into it extensively last week. So again, go to the archive, folks, if you missed it. But I mean, I'll just I'll say it because it's still relevant 7 days later, that like WWE is having some of its best weeks right now with the women, with press and everything. Right. Like, I just don't know. Like, I would think that would challenge you, AEW, to like. And so then taking the title off of Saraya, who's easily your most recognizable face.
Right.
And I don't mean good guy, I mean face on the anatomy on in your women's locker room to the public, to the American public at least, and the European public. Mm-hmm. So we'll see where Shida goes, but she gets a win via her katana finisher. So stay tuned and see who is next in that line. Right. All right, Adam Copeland sitting down with Renee for the Rated R rebuttal. Nice little bit of marketing there. Mm-hmm. And he tells a story of how he's confused. Things in AEW so far has not gone the way he thought. He thought, he basically talked about how he wanted to come to AEW to finish his career with Christian, and Christian, he kind of alludes to that Christian knew about this off camera, off whatever, and that he seemed fine with it until it actually became real. And then all of a sudden he's not. And then Copeland goes through their entire life story from 6th grade to WWE to everything, basically about how Christian's always been the second guy, the right-hand man, the second fiddle, and then now Christian's here in AEW first, and here comes Copeland, and Adam, reiterates that eventually it's all going to come crashing down. Eventually Nick Wayne, Luchasaurus are all going to abandon Christian. Kind of more of what we've heard before, but just putting a little bit more color and realness to it. So I mean, Jimmy, obviously, inevitably, the day comes that we have Christian versus Adam Copeland. Mm-hmm. I guess my question to you, if you want to play Booker here, how long do they try to draw out until we get the one-on-one match? Because there's a lot of participants around them. You have Nick Wayne, you have Luchasaurus, you have Darby Allen, you have Sting. There's a lot of people around to where they could really draw this out. How long is too long? How short is too short?
See, that's the hard part, is trying to judge how long is too long and how short is too short. You want to give people what they want eventually, but you don't want to give it to them too quickly. But at the same time, you don't want them to wait so long that they get less invested and don't want to see it as bad as they really wanted to see it at the beginning. It's all in how you present it going forward. I like the story tonight. I like, Edge, or the former Edge, Adam Copeland, telling the real life story of how him and Jay, Uncle Jay, as his kids call him, real story, and especially mentioning that they're each other's godfather to each other's children, stuff like that. See, that makes me feel more invested in their story, if I'm watching as a fan. That being said, you can give it a couple of months, but again, like you said, you don't want to go too far. You can give it some time. You like you said, Nick Wayne is there, Luchasaurus is there. We have others involved, so you can kind of interplay them on the way to the main story, to where you want to get to eventually, that Jay versus Adam Copeland, or Jay versus Adam match. But at the same time, I almost feel like this is leading to, whenever it's time for, Adam to say, this is it, them to team for one last time, eventually down the road. I'm thinking further down the road. But again, to your story, after rambling on like that, it's a fine line between going too far, waiting too long, and doing it too soon. It's a tough call. You have to listen to your audience.
So, Isa, we have the pay-per-view Full Gear November 18th, so a month away. And then I think after that, it's probably not going to be until Revolution, which is in March, which is we'll talk about in a few minutes. We know with Sting is going to be a big deal. So you have November, you have March, some time in between. Do you aim for a pay-per-view where you're making somebody pay $50 to see it, or do you build real heavily and make this a well-out advertised main event for a Dynamite?
No, I put it on pay-per-view.
Pay-per-view?
I definitely put it on pay-per-view. I think that would be the best way to go. I mean, Christian is really making waves with what he's doing even before Adam Copeland got here. I didn't like the segment. I'm sorry. I just thought it felt like therapy to me. Like he was going to therapy, and I just didn't care what he was saying. This man told your wife to get the fresh sheets last week, and you're just like, yeah, we met in the 6th grade. Like, come on, bro. Like, and I get it. He's the baby face, and you guys know I like more savagery in my wrestling. But it just, I don't know. It just felt like he went on a little too long talking about things that don't matter anymore. You know what I mean? Like, we're in a different stage, and I don't know that Christian feels inconsistent the way that Adam described him tonight, because Christian has always said that he's keeping that title and he's going to do whatever it takes to keep that title. So if he feels like Edge is coming to try to take that from him, he's gonna turn on everybody to keep this TNT championship. That's his baby right now. So to me, it just felt a little therapy, and it felt, I don't want to say forced, but it felt like, oh, we got to get Edge on TV somewhere. Let's just pre-tape this interview real quick. To me, it really didn't do anything to move the needle in the field for me, Edge and Christian wise. But the match itself, I would definitely put on a pay-per-view, because that's a match that I would pay to see. I wouldn't waste it on a Dynamite.
Okay, fair enough. Some super chats here. Sega Genesis, again, making it rain tonight. Adam Copeland isn't hitting for me right now because Christian has been making really good points. He's hot right now. He doesn't need Copeland. Copeland needs him. Copeland followed him to AEW. So interesting take there from Sega. Also, one kind of relevant to what we're talking right now from Sega, saying, let's be real, Nick Wayne and Luchasaurus cannot survive as heels if they turn on Christian. Well, I think Luchasaurus could, just by the look. I mean, Nick Wayne, I think it would take some more. And Sega just keeping it rolling. He's our fourth man tonight. We finally get heel Christian, and he's one of the best heels in wrestling. And now Adam Copeland comes along, and we have to see a story where they eventually team together as baby faces. Boo.
I really like the point that Sega made about Edge following Christian and Edge needing Christian right now, because if you really look at the situation, you're cooling off in their other company, come over here, your best friend is the hottest thing going on right now. It does look that way, and I wish they would bring that into like what they're talking about in conversations instead of just telling stories from 40 years ago. I don't care, bro. It was 40 years ago.
Yeah. Killer of Demons, I'm going to disagree with you. He says Edge is regretting going to AEW, I bet.
He's having fun. The one thing that comes off clear is that this man is having a blast, and that's what he came there to do.
First off, it's been like 3 weeks. Secondly, I'm sure he's getting paid handsomely. Not that he needs the money, but when you have a family and kids, you can always use a little bit more, and he doesn't have to go do conventions or do anything else. He gets to go be part of a wrestling show, and again with his buddies. So
his schedule probably isn't as
that interview tonight was probably taped last week or whatever.
Yeah,
so he probably didn't have to go to TV tonight. So
did you see him at the press conference talk about how he was filming that video in the fast car? Like, this man is just having fun.
Yeah.
And at the point of the career that he is, that's what he should be doing. And he's working with his best friend. I guarantee you they're probably throwing jabs at each other and sharing what they're going to say to each other and probably having a laugh over it. I just want... Look, I'm going to sound like the girl from Mean Girls right now, but I just want everybody to be happy. Whether they end up, whatever they do, just be happy and have fun. And I do think that that's what he's doing. I still didn't like the promo.
You can see it. You can feel it. You can sense it. Even through your television screen, he's enjoying himself right now. And, that interview he did with Renee, would that be something you would see on WWE television? You might hear some of what he said, but to go to that extent and that deep, no.
Some other super chats. I see you, Sega, Darius. I'll get to you when it comes time, but I appreciate them. We got more to talk about with the Christian of it all. But up next, it's Wardlow time. He's back out there. Hollywood hunk Ryan Nemeth is the next victim. This one's even quicker than the last. One powerbomb, TKO. Don't love that. Hit him with more power bombs.
Thank you.
Hit him with more power bombs.
Thank you very much. Yes. I like the idea of the power bombs doing the damage, but there's an S at the end. Yeah. Power bombs, multiple, more than one. Doing it after one. Now, anybody who takes one power bomb and doesn't pass out,
Yeah. Hit more than one, but he hits one. Ref stops it. Wardlow looks like he's getting ready to leave. Now, mind you, I want to point this out. Wardlow, he comes out. He looks like he's going to leave. Tony Schiavone comes to the ring. Wardlow, why are you back? Well, you look like you got what are you back for? And point out something that Isa
told you about that wrist
that
strap.
said last week. He's got MJF written on the tape on the wrist. So he puts that up. Tony, I know Tony had to say it because not everybody in the crowd's going to see this. TV's going to see it clear. Not everybody in the crowd, but Tony. Oh my God, that says MJF. He just sounded really ridiculous, but Tony's doing his job.
Yeah,
and then Wardlow gets a little shoulder tackle bump to Tony on his way out. And then, folks, Wardlow exits. He leaves through the heel tunnel. If you didn't catch that, the heel side, because the heel side is to go that way.
Yeah.
He came out the babyface side. So he said he wants MJF. Tony reminded us that's what it says. Crowd booed because MJF's pretty hot babyface right now to them. So looks like we're getting heel Wardlow. And he wants him some of MJF. He's not the only one. MJF backstage interrupts Kenny Omega being interviewed, goes to give a nice hearty handshake to Kenny Omega, respects the hell out of Kenny Omega, and then as he does that, leans in close and says, 13 days, bitch. And they would let us know and clarify later on commentary that it's 13 days from Wednesday night that MJF will surpass Kenny Omega's AEW World Title run.
Okay. Yeah.
So now we got Kenny Omega, who's just been poked and prodded with MJF. We got Wardlow, who's back, who has a long story with MJF. Samoa Joe's probably still out there smoking a cigar, sipping brandy, wanting his shot. So this is interesting because, again, we had talked earlier about MJF a minute ago about with Jay White, and it feels kind of like just a gap in time. I don't think any of us are going to be making any bets with Wrestle Rumble of Jay White beating MJF at Full Gear, but Kenny Omega or Wardlow, those are two guys that seem very likely, reasonably thought of, and stories of, okay, they could be the ones to dethrone and take a title off of MJF. And again, how interesting as we are approaching 2024, which has been the magic year that MJF keeps talking about. We don't know if he's been re-signed. We don't know, but
come on.
Isa, you would think, but case in point.
Yeah.
Jade Carr goes off TV for months. Tony brings her back on because he's a nice guy and he wants to give her a proper send-off. Super nice guy, but such an unorthodox thing for a wrestling promoter to do. He brings her back on TV. He could have left her out of sight, out of mind. He brings her back on TV, gives her TV time to have a match. She loses the match, does the job as she should, but then 3 days later, the news breaks that she's going to WWE and she's been all over the place. So that to me tells me Tony, as a nice guy, might be wholeheartly well, shucks, MJF, we're gonna let you have a good finish and good run here, even though he might be out of here and shows up at Royal Rumble.
But as we've seen in the past, being a nice guy, there's nothing wrong with being a nice guy. But as a businessman in the wrestling business, sometimes you just got to turn that switch off and say, you know what, I got to be cold-hearted at times. And one of the reasons why a certain man by the name of Vince McMahon was so successful is, those who were friends with him can tell you what a good guy he was. But as a businessman, he was ruthless and had to turn that friend switch off.
Yeah, go ahead, Isa.
No, I have thoughts here. I love seeing Wardlow squashing people. I did think they should have just let him destroy a little bit longer. I would have enjoyed seeing that. There was so many talking segments. We have a pointless overrun, and we can give us a little bit extra of Wardlow. I will say he needs to grow the hair back. He looks like Love Is Blind contestant with that hair. Like he'll be talking to you from the other side of the wall saying, please love me for the way that I am and not the way that I look. Like that's the vibes that I'm getting from Wardlow. So the hair needs to come back. MJF and Kenny Omega face-off should have felt like a bigger deal. But Omega has lost so many matches and has lost so much momentum that it's cool to see it. But that 2 years ago would have exploded everybody. Like it just didn't feel as big of a deal as you wanted to feel.
I don't think the hair is coming back right now. I think the hair you got's the hair you got. I mean, I think Kenny Omega's stock is definitely down compared to where it once was, but it can be built back up. Same with Wardlow, to be fair. I mean, and this is all AEW's doing. We've talked about it. They had lightning in a bottle and they just smashed the bottle for whatever reason. Right. So they have to rebuild it, and they're clearly trying to rebuild it back up. But again, timetable. So we know it's at least not till after November 18th. And November 18th is occupied with Jay White. So then it's after that. So again, not a pay-per-view again until probably March. Right. They like to do Dynamite specials and this and that. So
yeah, winter is coming. It's always a big deal.
And that's usually December, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, I mean, if MJF's contract truly was up January 1, and if they didn't have a new deal, then yeah, I guess you would kind of timeline, because again, he's not losing to Jay White on November 18th. So I guess you then are timelining maybe a December. God, what a Dynamite number that might be if he dropped the title in a Dynamite. Whew. That'd be something. All right. We'll see. Not the last of MJF, but we're just keeping this thing linear here. We go to kind of somewhat related MJF and crew. Adam Cole still at Roderick Strong's house. And he's going to make some sandwiches for Roddy. He makes those famous sandwiches that they make in Ring of Honor. Makes a sandwich. My son was actually in the room. Funny enough, this is going on. He's looking at the TV and he kept saying how gross this all looks. It was just funny because life through a 5-year-old. Doesn't see something he's going to eat. And then Roddy goes to eat the sandwich. And Adam, I don't like the crust. Adam's fed up with it. He's leaving. He does leave. He's got to go get surgery. And so he's gone. Now Roddy says that to his boys, we might actually have to play nice to MJF. So, Isa, what'd you make of this?
I'm over these segments.
Well, that should be the last one, right? That should be the last one.
I hope so. I mean, it's okay. I know some people are really enjoying them. It's just not for me. That's all.
Jimmy?
No, I think it shows a different side to Roddy Strong because, we see him as the serious, tough pro wrestler. Now we're seeing a little bit of character in him and seeing him evolve in that direction. So, and now, again, we talk about so many times about planting seeds. Now it's time to water this one because he says, he mentioned maybe playing nice with MJF, kind of alluded to that. Now you got to let this thing play out and see where it goes. And can this character development mesh with the one that's huge like MJF?
I do think that, to Jimmy's point, they do throw little hints at things in between all of this ridiculousness, which makes you pay attention to what they're saying and doing, because obviously there's some things being teased in there. But yeah, no, I'm not next strong. I thought the song they were singing before, the peanut butter. I've never eaten a peanut butter and jelly sandwich in my life. I think they look disgusting.
Wait, what?
No, what?
Never in my life, and I don't plan on it. So maybe that's why
you've never ate a peanut butter and jelly sandwich?
No.
I don't think I know anyone else that's never eaten one.
It's gross.
What's gross? What do you not like, the peanut butter or the jelly?
Both.
Have you ever had either of those independently?
No, they smell bad.
Oh,
so you've never had a gob of peanut butter on toast? You've never had a thing of jelly?
No. No, I think the
Oh,
only
my-
thing that I eat in peanut butter on would be like a Reese's cup thingy.
Reese's peanut butter cup?
Yeah, don't they have peanut butter inside? Yeah, that's
Yeah.
probably the only time that I tried it.
Oh my goodness.
What?
Wow.
If I could sit here and tell you like a million things, I probably can give you a list of things that I tried over things that I haven't tried. I am the pickiest eater in the world.
But no PB&J.
I'm the Dominic Mysterio that orders chicken tenders at every restaurant we go to.
I can understand it not being part of your daily. I mean, I don't think I've ever had like a PB&J since like I was in like the 8th grade, but I just can't believe in your life that you just never. That's crazy.
No, they look disgusting.
All right.
I'm a visual eating. That thing looks gross. Just even making it. Why would you mix those two things? Even the texture of no.
Would you prefer spaghetti and meatball? Is that more comfortable to you?
Well, if it was like the one that Tony D was eating last night on NXT, that plate looked good.
Oh wow.
Lamb and tuna fish.
No.
It's an old movie reference.
I know.
Isa is not next strong according to burner account, but then Killer Demon's got your back saying Isa's leg strong.
Ah,
I am.
All right.
okay.
All right. Man, people are blowing up on the peanut butter and jelly right now. Outside peanut butter, inside jelly.
Maybe I need to figure out what the next milestone is for my YouTube channel. When we hit it, I'll try it.
You know what drives me crazy though? It's because my wife makes amazing jelly / jam, and different kinds. Whether it's made of apple, what other stuff do you make it from? Blueberry. Oh my goodness, some great stuff, and rhubarb. Believe it or not.
I don't like that.
Man, Alder better stop. I'm getting ready to put this podcast on hold to go get some snacks. I'm hungry now.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, like, it's incredible. They go good together. Trust me.
Okay.
Real quick, last thing, Isa, take some apple slices, dip them into the peanut butter. That's good.
No, I don't like. I can't. My fruits cannot mix with anything. Chocolate dip strawberries. No, I don't mess with that. And they need to be alone and on their own.
Oh,
no,
God.
no way, no way.
Oh God! All right. Moving on.
Moving on.
I can't. We'll never get this thing done. I'll go to my kitchen right now. I'll bring stuff down. We'll be all night. All right. Never mind. Moving on. Real quick, last thought. Though. Actually, the last thought I had before Isa blew my mind with the PB&J. Fun fact. So we got Acclaim. The three of them, including Daddy Ass. They're trying to petition, or at least one of them is trying to petition to be what rounds out a foursome to take on Bullet Club Gold. What if Roddy and Bennett and Taven, what if they offer up their services to be MJF's partners to take on?
I like this.
Yeah. All right, just again, just grab my pencil.
I have a pencil here for you if you need one.
My pen. Put it in ink.
There you go.
There
you go. Put it in ink. Yeah.
Put it in ink. All right. Tony Schiavone brings out Don Callis, Powerhouse Hobbs, and Takeshita. And they basically talk about, and Hobbs tells this story about how Jericho did him wrong when when he's a young kid wanting to go meet Jericho and this and that. It's actually a very babyface kind of promo, but it's fun. And then Don starts shooting on Kyle Fletcher, who was a scab, who was there to replace Sammy Guevara and didn't do the deal. Fletcher comes out, doesn't take kindly to the words, and then Callis is like, all right, I like the confidence. I like the fire. You beat Omega tonight. Maybe we have something to talk about. Real quick, some super chats that have been sitting and waiting for this portion of things. Terry Allen Jr., Powerhouse Hobbs is organically real. He does look the part. He looks like a badass.
Yes, he does. Absolutely does.
Looks like a badass and sounds like it. Is that the only one we have for that particular? I think so. All right, so then we get the match of Kyle Fletcher versus Kenny Omega. Callis on commentary, hilarious. So 1 minute he's praising Kyle Fletcher like he's the next Hall of Famer, and then Fletcher loses to the one-winged angel, and Callis is telling that Fletcher just needs to go get a 9-to-5 job and that he sucks. So kind of funny there. But Omega gets the win as needed here. Jimmy, thoughts on the story and thoughts on the match?
No, I thought the story is progressing, and we're going to see where it goes from here. But as far as the match goes, I thought the match was very good. They told a hell of a story. Both guys sold. Again, here we go again. Both guys sold and helped add to this match. It's I hate to say it sounds simple, but it is. If you get people to sympathize with you after seeing some of those moves, what was it, that spear thing that Kenny took in the corner? It looked like it caved in the side.
He ate that.
Oh my goodness. It was a hard hitting match, and he sold it. He sold it like it did cave in his cheekbone or whatever the case may be. So I like the match. I think it made sense. And we always talk about getting over without going over. Although Kyle Fletcher did not win this match, it elevated his stock. Let's put it that way.
Isa, 2 questions for you. Did Kyle Fletcher's stock get elevated? Then I have a second one as a proposal for you. First off, Kyle Fletcher's stock.
Wait, Kyle Fletcher. Yeah, I thought he looked great here. That was a fun, competitive wrestling match, and I just appreciate it. Always, every week, I enjoy the heat that Don Callis gets. By the way, as much as I can stand him, which means he's doing his job very well, the heat that he gets is insane. And I'm always here for seeing Kenny Omega compete in singles competition and get the win. And regardless of whether his momentum is up and down, I still love the fact that when that one wing angel gets hit, the match is over. You know it. That's still so protected that you're like, okay, he won. So yeah, I do think that Kyle, like, keeping up with Kenny Omega did make him look better. Yes.
Hey, if you're going to be an EVP, at least thing you can do is get your finisher protected. Yeah.
Right.
So, real quick to that, Callis does get great heat. We've seen him take some bumps. I'm surprised. I don't know what. I mean, looks like he's in pretty good shape for whatever age he is. I mean, I'm kind of surprised they haven't gone the whole route, the old classic manager route of, the babyface wins and they get 5 minutes with Callis or something like that.
Right.
Or because there's so much, Callis has got heat with Jericho. He's got heat with Omega. He's got it seems like there's just a prime opportunity for people to pay to see Don Callis to get his ass kicked.
Yeah. Perfect place to have this is if they go back to Winnipeg.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Right. All right. So I got a proposal for you.
Oh God.
This is straight from the minds of our audience, but I like it. I do like it.
Okay. Let's see.
Beer Money says, if Roman loses the title to Cody, Isa has to eat her first peanut butter and jelly on the podcast.
I'm happy to say I'll never be eating peanut butter and jelly, so that's great. I'll accept.
Oh, is that an official yes?
Yeah, it is a yes.
Oh, all right.
Okay.
Hang on.
He's going to put it on paper, too.
It is 11:03 Eastern time.
October 18th.
On October 18th.
2023.
I got to put the year because it might be a few more years till Roman loses.
It's never going to happen. It's never.
So I got to put the year 2023.
It's never going to happen. Beer Money, I appreciate you. You're cute. You're cute for that one. You could have, got me to eat that peanut butter and jelly if you would have reversed it when Roman beats Cody again. But
Isa, you just made the list. It's on. It's on. I have it written down.
Yeah, I know you're not gonna let it go. I want it, but it's okay. It's not gonna happen. So
I don't even care. I don't even care if I'm not scheduled to be on that podcast that night. I will get myself on that podcast that night.
You had the admin rights. You can jump in anytime you want.
I might fly to Puerto Rico. I might make that damn sandwich for you. I'll spread that shit on the bread for you.
Okay.
All right. Well, if we didn't do anything else tonight, we accomplished a really good bet has been made.
Yes. If you need a witness.
Yeah. Jimmy just notarized it.
Yes.
All right. Lance Archer has a match and he starts beating up this dude. I just wrote down Young Buck cosplay, dude. I literally, they literally.
I said Jungle Boy. You said Young Buck. That's good.
Well, it was because of the ring gear. The jib camera comes swooping down, and I see the video, I see the music, and I'm like, oh, that's pretty sure that's Lance Archer. He has like a little countdown. And then I see just like a dude come tumbling out, and because of the hair and because of the body build and the pants, I'm like, is Lance Archer kicking the shit out of one of the Young Bucks?
Somebody on my chat said, is that Nick Jackson? You're right. Like, he came off as a Young Buck lookalike.
Yeah, so they got in the ring, and Lance Archer just beat the hell out of him. So, Lance Archer, another one. Big guy, got the hell of a look.
I forgot he was still here.
Yeah, they start and stop with him. I don't know. Like, I think back to, I don't know if this is during the pandemic or pre-pandemic, but when they were doing the stuff with he and Jake the Snake, and they were like doing like the vignettes in the woods, it was like Fight Club in the woods, and Lance Archer was in like the backwoods of Georgia kicking the shit out of people. Like, it was great. And then, like, again, just whatever reason,
he got Wardlow.
He got Wardlow.
Yeah.
He had a great match with Hangman Adam Page in one of those pandemic time pay-per-views that came that happening.
No, he has great matches, but he never wins a match that matters.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So.
And he beat Moxley for for that one title, for the New Japan title, that one time too. So yeah, it's very up and down, hot and cold with him.
Yeah, he beat Moxley in a match that probably wasn't booked by Tony Khan. It was for the New Japan title. It was instructed by New Japan bookers to have him win.
Exactly. Yeah.
What's Tony got against Lance? Lance must have. Lance must have shut Twitter Tony down a time or two or something. I don't know.
Did he get blocked?
Maybe.
Hey,
maybe Lance doesn't swerve when he drives. Hey, any final thoughts on Lance Archer here?
He always looks great.
No, he does look good. It's just, again, don't miss this opportunity.
Yeah. I don't know. Grand Flash, I agree. I mean, I get that, like, where's Jake the Snake? I never know Jake's health. Maybe Jake can't commit, so I understand to that. But that doesn't mean that Lance has to lose his edge. And that was also years ago at this point. I mean, it's not like this like make or break thing here. Okay. We get Sting. They've been promoting Sting is going to address the fans. I think we all kind of had this feel. It's like, all right, well, if Sting's addressing the fans, like, there's only so many things he's going to, like, talk about at this point in his career. And basically he thanks all the opponents from the past. He runs down some names. Everybody gets cheered except for Hulk Hogan. Runs down names of the past. And then he talks about that word retirement. And he says retirement. He says what is for sure with Stinger is retirement is in Revolution 2024. Revolution being the AEW pay-per-view that he made his first in-ring debut match for in 2021, I believe.
Yes.
And that usually falls in March. So they haven't gave us a date. They haven't gave us a location. I think a location is probably key of Sting to decide. I think there's maybe something here. I don't know, but we don't know the date or location. At least I don't. If somebody else credibly does, put it in chat. But so retirement 2024. Real quick before actually, I guess we'll stick with it right now because we're going to see Sting again in a few minutes, but it's kind of separate. Jimmy, when I say Sting's having his retirement match, and look, by the time March comes, he's going to be like, I think he's going to be like 65.
Right.
I think he turns 65 next March. So this probably is the exact retirement, the final retirement.
Right. And yeah.
Who's an opponent that comes to mind? What's worthy here?
See, that's the question. Who does he go out against? And he named some people in the past that he worked with or learned from, like you mentioned, the Dusties and the Hulks and all those people, and trying to figure out when he announced that Revolution 2024 is going to be his last match, as he said for sure. Yeah. Then I started thinking about what names are out there that he could possibly work with. And then it comes back to that old name. Do you bring back someone like a Goldberg? But what's the history with those two? No. Do you know what I mean? It's got to be somebody he's had a history with. And I'm trying to think of who would that be that perfect opponent.
I don't think there's, I mean, Darby Allen has history with an AEW on being on the same side. I don't think there's anybody in Sting's like true hit. Hogan can't go.
No.
Luger.
It's got to be Darby, you guys.
Luger can't. I mean,
yeah.
Ric Flair had a match 2 years ago and looked like he's going to die. I don't think we can. But I don't necessarily pass it up that they don't try to dog and pony
Please
show.
Don't do that. I was at that event. I never been so uncomfortable.
But I know.
Or is it a singles match? Or do we see him in a team situation with Darby and people against? But that seems like that would happen. Well, we're going to talk about in a second. That seems like that would happen like next month because we have Darby and Christian and Nick Cage and all this stuff.
But like the old school mentality too, and I guess Sting had maybe that old school mentality is on your way out when you're saying goodbye, you're elevating the next somebody.
I think it's going to be Darby. I personally thought Darby immediately. But the one thing that I really appreciate about this is that they told us Revolution 2024, we can have a little Sting farewell tour. Give us a couple of matches that we haven't seen. But I do hope that we don't, if it's Darby, don't book it Darby just because he's retiring. Like, do a feud, have Darby turn on him, something like let's like retire him in a bang and a good feud. But I automatically thought Darby Allen. Like, I think Darby working with Sting has just revitalized Sting. Like, he's acting like a little kid out there doing crazy stuff with Darby. I think it would be cool for Darby to get that. But I mean, even Edge talked about how that was the first time he's ever been in a ring face to face with Sting. So I would assume that leading up to Revolution, and the reason why we announced it so early is to have a farewell and give us a couple of those matches from Sting that we've been wanting to see.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I want to know location. Like, is it in Baltimore where Sting had so many great early WCW? Like, is it like, where is it going to be? Darby makes sense, I guess, but like, it's one thing to have Sting on Darby's side as we've had for the last couple of years, but if like Sting's fair, like it's not like Darby's like a catch can wrestler. If Sting has to have a one-on-one farewell match with Darby, I feel like I fear for Sting's safety because of the way that Darby likes to work. Like, I don't know. Darby's a guy that, like, I don't know. He's said that, like, he's never gonna go to WWE. He's an AEW guy for life or whatever. Like, he's doesn't plan on doing this forever. Like, I just it's like if you're gonna use that, if you're gonna cash in that Sting equity, is Darby the guy to cash in on? But then again, if Sting likes Darby and he wants to, if Sting says that's what he wants, that's what he wants.
Right.
But I will say what I was telling you, they booked this smart and start announcing ahead of time the Sting appearances and maybe a couple of matches. We were talking about how they're struggling to sell tickets. This will sell tickets. People will want to see Sting for the last time, and that's going to help them, get more people in the arenas.
That's a very good point.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. City, where it's at. Baltimore, he has history, but like if you especially go into the Carolinas, you go into Georgia, you go into places
Atlanta,
you go into where Sting was like for the WCW and NWA territory. Like, that could be. You could probably pull some lapsed fans in. They find out Sting's still wrestling, and they see his face paint and everything. And Ethan Cruz in your best Teddy Long voice, he's going one-on-one with the Undertaker.
Yeah. I don't know if that would happen in AEW. That's a tough one.
I can bet my PBJs Undertaker ain't working no AEW match. I can bet that. All right, so we get a picture-in-picture while we get to watch the Gone with the Storm, Toni Storm
so
silent
stupid
film.
They put this on picture-in-picture. Look, I know that it's a silent film, but
I know I agree with both of you, but I have to say this, and I agree, and I know it was a ref and rant last week, and we talked about Jimmy, but I have to say this. I did look at social media, and I saw social media people saying this is the best picture-in-picture ever. They were more intrigued by watching this silent film than watching spots in a match that so maybe it's working to everybody else except for us.
Yeah, and to the advertisers who are paying for their big money to advertise during the show. You're talking about, the wrestling business, and the business is predicated on selling advertising time on your television station. And if I was an advertiser paying big money to have, it's one thing to have a match going on picture-in-picture, but to have people's attentions being drawn to having to read what the silent picture, what they're saying, you know what I mean? It's taken away from whatever the ad is. So from a business standpoint, it could come back to bite them. I don't know if it will.
From the logic, you're engaged in this picture-in-picture, but you're right. It's distraction of the advertisers. My thing too, Isa, is like, they like built up to this all week. They're like, this is one of the advertised things for the show. This thing at a lower third of graphics about the show that we have Toni Storm. And so to me, even if you're thinking you're being clever, if Tony Khan thinks you're being clever but put it here, to me it's like, well, it's a perception thing. It makes me feel like it's not as important because it doesn't get
correct. Correct. And I think that first of all, we must protect Toni Storm at all costs. This is incredible, the work that she's doing right now, but I will say that you can't put on picture-in-picture. Read the room. Toni Storm is over with everybody. There's people, everybody, all the content creators, podcasts, everybody's just putting this gimmick over, and you putting it in a picture-in-picture. I just don't think it works. Maybe people are paying attention, like you said, but I will try to feature it in the actual show.
Yeah, Sega Genesis back with some more saying pay-per-view is a month away. Sheeta has no story. Toni Storm is sitting right there, and the thing a lot of fans are looking forward to the most was in picture-in-picture again. Shake my head.
Agree, Sega.
So yeah. Hey Isa, Corey Pride wants to know for $2. Did you enjoy the Reese's?
Hey, they were okay. That was years ago.
Just
I can't remember. I think I only had them like twice in my life too.
Wash them down with a glass of milk.
Probably a shot of rum.
Oh, okay.
What? If somebody was making you like your birthday dinner, like what would be a favorite dinner of food?
Just buy me a slice of cheese pizza.
Pizza, all right.
Really?
Just cheese. Don't put nothing on it. Just cheese.
No pepperoni, no sausage, or nothing?
No, just cheese.
Wow.
Right.
But let's bring alcohol.
Well, no, I got that part. We'll have the bar.
I'm a cheap date when it comes to eating. I will tell you that.
Given. That's a given.
But I will say, like, I have a stomach condition, and that has really changed the way that I eat, and I can only eat in small portions. So I'm a cheap date, but they always say, hey, you should be on a liquid diet. So that's what I do. So I drink a lot.
Wow.
Very good, very good. All right, Jim Ross talking to Nick Wayne, and Nick Wayne's mom, she's there. Nick Wayne's mom's there, and he says that Christian is his new father now. She doesn't even recognize her son anymore. Christian's a new father now, better than Dad ever could have been. Then he leaves to Christian. Christian tells Nick Wayne's mom he should have picked up the phone. Then they leave. Darby Allen attacks him, brouhaha in the hallway. It eventually spills back out to the arena, and then here comes Sting to try to help even the numbers a little bit here. And so again, I can't help but think as we go back again, like we got Sting, we got Darby, but on the other side we got Luchasaurus, we got Christian, we got Nick Wayne. Does Adam Copeland pop up in here and make this trio of baby faces? I don't know. Jimmy, thoughts on this whole angle here? And oh, by the way, Nick Wayne's mom slaps him.
Right.
And there's a lot of drama, but actually, I thought the emotion came off pretty good. I thought that was there.
Yeah, it got people. I think it got a lot of people going, "Ooh, that was a little stiff." You know what I mean? Not the slap, but some of the verbiage that came out of Nick Wayne's, especially towards his mom, it stung really hard. Let's put it that way. And as far as your point going 3-on-3, does Adam Copeland interject himself in this situation? I think it only makes sense at this time for his next, stage in his AEW career to be a part of this and tease that interaction with him and his former or current still best friend Christian. I mean, they could have a 6-man match, a 3-way, or whatever you call it, 3-on-3 match, where every time that they tag in together, Christian tags out. They don't have to touch once through the entire match.
They did that a lot with, if you recall, with MJF and CM Punk. Remember how they had MJF team up with FTR, I think, and Punk team with Sting and Darby? And then every time that Punk would tag in, MJF would run away and whatever. They did that a lot during the feud to keep Punk and MJF away from each other, but involving each other's storyline. So they could do it again.
Isa Darius Roby says, seriously, who the F is scared of Nick Wayne?
Man, I was waiting for you to come to me because I was gonna say the camera angle that they chose to show that his mom is 3 times his size did not do him any favors. I like the emotion. It felt very novela, but I'm like, all this woman has to do is just get up, and this kid would just probably blow away just from the air of her getting up. He's not scary.
Just put him over your knee and spank his ass.
There you go.
Sega also
let me tell you something. He's talking crap to his mom. He is no dirty Dominic Mysterio.
No, that he's not. Not. Sega also had this one waiting. What should have been Nick Wayne? Did you forget that AR Fox nearly murdered me, Mom? And Darby just forgave him, not for me, but for his own selfish guilt over speaking to Dad. What we got? I'm in Darby's shadow. Is what we got.
I love this super chat. Thank you, Sega, for all the super chats tonight. But I do think that Nick Wayne makes sense. I don't think that Nick Wayne is all that wrong. Like Darby, everybody was just talking more about Darby than Nick Wayne. The only person that actually noticed Nick Wayne and say, "Hey, I heard about you," was actually Christian.
Right.
Yeah. All right. Burner account. Unlike Dom, Nick can actually work. Laugh. What?
Let's look at the people that Dominic Mysterio has kept up in the ring with against what Nick Wayne has done and have that conversation later.
Yeah.
First of all, you can keep up in the ring with your dad. Keeping up in the ring with Rey Mysterio, that alone is more impressive.
Christopher said, and I do agree, Nick Wayne's mom needs to lay it in a little bit. Come on, you're a wrestling family, lay it in a little bit more. Linda McMahon slapped Shane and Stephanie harder.
Oh yeah.
Sega back at it, saying, "My apologies, guys. The Nick Wayne segment pissed off the fan in me so much. I needed to open up my feelings. I had my voice heard by someone. Thank you for taking all the super chats. We appreciate it.
No, thank you for donating
it, Sega. We love you.
Yes.
Sega making it rain tonight.
Yeah.
Making it rain.
Bring it, brother.
Yeah, oh yeah.
That should buy a peanut butter jelly sandwich or two.
There you go.
I'd hope.
Yeah.
All right. Dynamite Diamond Ring Battle Royal. I'm not going to list all the people, but it was actually quite a lot of WWE veterans. We had Jake Hager in there. We had the Hardy Boys in there. We had Dustin Rhodes, Johnny TV. And we had some young talent. Of course, we had Max Caster in there. That's critical to the story. We had Juice Robinson. That's the most critical to the story. We had Daddy Magic in there. We also note
Matt Sydal.
Thank you.
Trent Beretta.
Commander Trent Beretta. I think we probably named everybody by this point. At one point, MJF, who's on commentary, gets up. He goes to the ring and tosses some cash to Dustin Rhodes to hit what we all called it when he's Goldust, the Shattered Dreams on Juice Robinson. Of course, Juice Robinson.
That was funny.
Juice has called a shot. He wants to win this match and is going to beat MJF for the ring next week, and then he's going to go pawn that ring off. Ultimately, we are going to get at some point Juice and Max come down. Juice and Max Caster come down as the final two. Jay White attacks MJF at the desk, so they fight at the stage. That distracts Caster. Juice Robinson gets the win. So Juice Robinson next week going to take on MJF for that diamond ring in Philadelphia. Isa, I know I pitched this to you earlier. Predictable finish. Did this battle royal need to go that long?
No, we didn't need an overrun either. Since the beginning of the show, they set it up that Juice was winning.
Yeah.
I mean, he had a couple of entertainment spots, but it was just there for him to win.
I mean, I'll say this. I'm fine with him winning the battle royal. I'm fine with him,
I am too.
Him earning the shot, but yeah.
Right.
But it lasted a long time, and they were like, it just felt a little pointless. We had an overrun for something that could have ended in like 7 minutes stuff.
Well,
like cut the contestants in half.
But I wonder, Jimmy. I wonder if the overrun was planned, or if they got the overrun on an audible quick. Because I wonder, because like Sting's thing dragged on. Sting's speech dragged on.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I can see Tony not wanting to rush Sting. He's not going to like. I don't think he's going to radio into somebody and say, "Tell Sting to wrap it the fuck up."
Yeah.
So I don't know if like
the pencil in the mouth, the old school days.
So I don't know if it was just like, all right, Sting went long. Let's call the network real quick. Can we get 5 extra minutes?
Yeah, I think that's what happened. I think it was an audible. I think they called it on the fly, and the network was, was okay with it. But like you said, this was a very simple battle royal. A lot of the eliminations were fine. I mean, it wasn't a bad battle royal, but the eliminations were. Some of them could have been a little bit more creative. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I mean,
it was very,
Well, a battle royal for a battle royal to run over, it's one of the most contained timing things you can do. Just tell them to throw somebody out.
Yep.
We're 2 minutes behind. These three need to get out.
Next
throw 3 out at a time.
Right.
Yeah.
So I mean, why are we going long here? Sega again. I think he's gonna finish it off here tonight. So I guess Jeff Hardy hopped the guardrail and left the arena mid-match to go put gas in his car. I meant to come back, but got lost along the way. That had to be the reason. Did he not get eliminated? Did I miss that, or did he put? Sega,
I think Sega's talking about when he left for WWE. Remember?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sega.
All right, guys. Thank you for.
Well, Sega, we appreciate the donation. You're starting to get
because Jeff was eliminated, if I'm not mistaken, by Garcia.
Yeah. But, I can. Yeah, he was dancing. I remember that because I can't unsee it. Anyway.
Did you see Tony Khan dance?
Please stop. I paid a man in black to flash the little red light, so I will forget that.
Tony Khan only dances after he tweets.
Oh no.
Yeah, sorry, I had to go there. But anyway.
Twitter Tony doing this as he's hitting that send button.
Yeah.
I don't know. I muted him months ago.
Did you really?
Yeah. Why would you want to see that on your timeline? I don't follow him, and he still shows up, so I muted him.
It's entertainment. It's entertainment. All right. Well, that was tonight's Dynamite. So we are, like I said, we're a month away from Full Gear, and questions to be had. We know who MJF's opponent's going to be, but it does not feel like it's the most worthy or interesting opponent. So. Take that for what you will. They got this whole Christian situation, and does Adam Copeland? Do we got to get him part of the pay per view, right? You got to have his first pay per view match. I think he's going to jump up and be part of Darby and Sting's team, and I'm sure maybe Adam Copeland from a fan standpoint, he'd love to team with Sting. Right. Somebody's never been in the ring with. So, all right, lots to digest there. We talked about it. If you got more thoughts, of course, you can always hit all of us up on Twitter. Leave a comment on this podcast on whatever platform you prefer. We will be back next week like clockwork, as they're going to be in Philadelphia. Appreciate everybody again. Appreciate the super chats from Sega Genesis and everybody else that jumped in tonight. Really is awesome to see you guys so invested in our conversation tonight. Isa, ladies first. Give me your final thoughts and your plugs.
It wasn't my favorite episode of Dynamite. It paced weird, a lot of talking, a lot of predictable matches, but there was a lot of really, some stories moved and really good in-ring work as usual. That Kenny Omega and Fletcher match was really, really good. And people can find me here on Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, NYC Demon Diva, across all socials, over in YouTube. I watch all the wrestling on my YouTube channel, so you can come hang out with us.
There you go. Check out that YouTube channel. Jimmy, plug it up.
Nah, tonight's episode was okay. Again, there are some, of course, little critiques I could make, and I probably will on my ref and rants, and you'll tune into those from Monday to Wednesday. They're only a minute long. They're on all my social media platforms. And again, like I say, they're critiques not to tear down, but to help hopefully tighten screws that I believe need tightening. And also you can catch me here on Mondays and Wednesday nights, obviously Wednesday nights with the two of you, which is awesome. And it's Triple J on Monday nights. Sorry, Isa, I know it's Jack, but hey, got to give him his plug too. And Wednesdays, you can catch me and my good brother in stripes, Brian Hebner, with our Reffing It Up podcast. And we got an interesting one this week. We got Craig Jenkins, who is behind the scenes guy at TNA back in the day. It's a lot of fun stories hearing him and B-Heb reminisce. Let's put it that way.
Very good. Make the ref and rants longer. Give us a few more minutes.
Give us more, Jimmy. Give us more.
You got that cup of coffee in front of you.
Yeah.
Have a cup of coffee with the audience.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I like keeping them at a minute, and then,
Okay.
Sometimes people's attention spans, or especially in the morning, are not quite, I can't listen to this right now.
All right. I don't know. You got a cup of coffee. I think that you could sit and have a little, fireside chat.
See what other superstars I can get blocked by.
Yeah. We're all blocked by some. If we're not, then we're not interested. Then we're not interesting us. That's
that means we're doing our job. That's
exactly.
All. I love that we found out together, though.
Yes. Was a bonding moment.
It was a bonding moment.
All right. At Justin LaBar across the socials. Monday, Wednesday on Wrestling Inc. Friday, Busted Open, Sirius XM channel 156. Myself, Dave LaGreca, and Thunder Rosa. Stand by. Seems like Busted Open's got things going on, and I've been fielding more phone calls lately for some things and trying to expand the LaBar brand. Stay tuned. But any which way. Hit me up 24/7 at Justin LaBar across the socials. Remember the rule. If you're going to be nonsense, and if you're not even going to have a picture of yourself, if I can't identify you in the crowd to call you a dumbass, you don't get a reply. So find a picture of somebody and put it on your profile before you tweet me. Don't be an egg. That's the rule. At Justin LaBar across the socials. Again, like, subscribe, comment, do all the things here on this podcast. We appreciate all of you. Be good. Be happy, be safe. Don't know who's on Friday or Saturday, whatever, but I know I'll be back Monday with Jimmy and Jack. Have a good night. Thanks, everybody. Be good, be good, be good.